The meeting will come to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Newburgh Board of Education. It's August 13th, 2024. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mackenzie Boucher.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you just remain standing during the silence? Thank you.
Roll call.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Here.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Here.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher,
Here.
Ms. Victoria Boucher,
Here.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Here.
Mr. Doré,
Here.
Mr. Howard, Ms. Politti,
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
We're now at the public comment on agenda items. The board president has asked me to read the following. When called upon to speak, please state your name and municipality you reside. You have 5 minutes to speak. I ask that you address concerns to the board as a whole, not individual board members. All speakers and observers must conduct themselves in a civil manner. Obscene language, defamatory statements, threats of violence, statements advocating racial, religious, or other forms of prejudice will not be tolerated. You cannot mention names of individual board members, members of staff, or students of the district. Reserve the right to remove you from the podium at the meeting if you fail to comply. Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes.
motion to amend the agenda.
To what?
I would like to move the non-agenda portion of the meeting to the front of the meeting, along with the public comments on agenda items.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? I have discussion. I did set the agenda format according to our existing policy, and that was the policy that I believe you passed when you were chair of the policy committee. So I'm not really in favor of this because we have strayed from this format for the last 2 meetings, and it brought tremendous chaos. And I'm not a fan of making the same mistake over and over again. I mean, this doesn't deprive people from speaking. They still speak. It's just that we have an enormously long agenda, and I'd like to get through it while we're still young. Go ahead.
Yes, and my response to that would be that there's a motion to amend. You're entitled to your comments, and I feel that it's more important to, since we start our meetings now, when we were doing that, the meeting started at 6 o'clock. But now when meeting's starting at 7, what we're asking is for people to be here sometimes until 10, 11 o'clock to speak on non-agenda items. I don't think that's fair to the public. I don't think it's fair to families who have to get home and have young children to take care of. So that's why I am in favor of moving that section of the meeting to the front of the meeting with the agenda portion. Thank you.
Roll call. I'm sorry.
I would just like to echo Mr. Howard's comments and agree with them that this should be moved up. But you mentioned policy. So I think at a later meeting, we should change the policy and have a vote on it, as opposed to keeping it the way it is now. The way it is now is tremendously unfair to people who leave their houses, come here, sometimes have to sit while we're 90 minutes executive session, come out, have more of a meeting, and then be able to comment. Seems ridiculously unfair. And I understand it's not an open public meeting, but we do invite the public, and we should respect the fact that they're here. So thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
No.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher,
No.
Ms. Victoria Boucher,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli,
Yes.
Mr. Doré,
Yes.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart. No. Ms. Christine Bello.
No.
Motion to amend passes. The first person signed up to speak on agenda items is Mr. David Ryan.
Hello, good evening. I usually come up here and know what I'm going to say, but I shoot from the hip. Tonight I chose to gather my thoughts before I speak to you and anybody else that's watching. 1,100 people voted for something new. My name is David Ryan. I live in the district. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and only myself, not anybody that's employed by the district and my family. But I'm going to speak very plainly tonight on agenda items. Before I do, I'm going to start from maybe for myself and anybody else that wants to take it for themselves, a moment to center myself and just say, Father God, we ask in your name that tonight's and all future meetings of this board be peaceful, civil, professional, and productive. In your name we say amen. I'm here to support item 5.1, the meeting locations. I did not come here on my own because it's my own idea. If you don't know, I'm injured, so I happen to have some time to talk with people. You know, we're a community. We're one community, not three different communities. Though we are three different communities, but we are still one community. But I talk to people. And I've spoken to people since the last meeting, and I'm here on behalf of that silent majority. Some of that 1,100 that spoke and asked for change. I've heard from numerous district residents over these past few weeks that they support the change of meeting locations once at a time, the three different municipalities. Because if you look at the tax levy that you're going to approve tonight, in what is that, number 7.7, you're going to find out that the town of Newburgh contributed $51.7 million. Came from the town of Newburgh, only to be seconded by the town of New Windsor at $33 million. I am speaking facts. And then there's the city of Newburgh, which is dwarfed by the other two at $28.8 million. And that's not to say it's good or bad, but they've all paid the bill. Why not have it equitable? I've heard from so many residents. I would love to go to Temple Hill or to Heritage and have a meeting. I would love to go to Meadow Hill and not have to go down to the city of Newburgh, because in October or December, it's darker earlier and some people are skittish. I don't care. I grew up here. I'm a product of Martin. I don't care about the color of your skin. It's about the content of your character, how you behave. Because in the meetings that I was part of, I never saw behavior like that, like I saw in the last couple of weeks. So the bottom line is that the other municipalities deserve a bite at the apple. With regard to 6.8, I'll be quick here then. We trust you to do your job, and we're not saying who to hire or who not to hire, but you're giving a $5,000 raise that you're contractually bound to do, but in so doing, you're also asking for a waiver from the state. Was there not any other candidates within the Newburgh School District? Did we not shoulder up from within? Did we not rise up from within? I would be very concerned if I was a board member, if I was asked to vote on something I had to vote on, the raise, and then be told, do you want to allow this waiver to go through? Personally, the people I'm speaking to, by the way, not in fan of the waiver. All right? That has nothing to do with the individual up for the job. Probably the best top cop you're going to find. But why are we doing it wrong? Why? That's like the same thing I heard from so many of these people I talked to. Like, why did we do it wrong in the first place? Why do we need a waiver now? Aren't you supposed to have a waiver 30 days in advance? If I'm mistaken, correct me. So, and then we have this high-paid individual, and yet we had chaos in this room 2 weeks in a row. And these fine security guards did all they could to control order, but it was still embarrassing for Newburgh. And I was part of that. I mean, I was here for those meetings. I participated, right? So I'm just gonna, end by thanking you for the time, because I know you put in your time, but thank you for the 5 minutes I had to spew out here. But you should remember as you go through this agenda tonight and as you vote, because there's some really controversial stuff in here and some very serious matters, remember who elected you and what you promised them. And if you are a person of integrity, you will remain true to your word. There's a reason why a vote was held and why a change was called for. Remember that. Remember that.
The next person signed up to speak is Ms. Megan Tantano.
Good evening. My name is Megan Tantono. I have children at NFA, Temple Hill, and Horizons. The duty of the board is not to make administrative decisions, but to ensure the best interests of students and teachers. Personal vendettas and agendas should have no place in deciding our children's future. It is particularly discouraging when this happens to someone who has been a notable asset for the Newburgh Enlarged City School District. The administrator who I'm referring to is Mrs. Bunce. During her time at Horizons on Hudson as an assistant principal, she has been an invaluable support to not only my children, but to myself and my husband as well. Her empathy, compassion, and steadfast support of students and their families is unparalleled. Her promotion as principal at Baumville School is exceedingly well-deserved. Why current board members have decided that she is not worthy of this position is baffling. This witch hunt was tabled last month, but is once again on the agenda tonight. Ms. Bunce has been working tirelessly all summer at Baumville to make certain staff and students have the best possible start to the new school year. By impeding and possibly voting against an administrative decision, these board members prove they are not fit to represent our community. This evening, I urge you to do the right thing and vote against this personal vendetta. Let Ms. Bunce perform her job without fear of her position being demoted or reneged.
The next person signed up to speak is Mr. Drew Katchinger. Sorry.
Drew Cardiganer, Town and Newburgh. I'm speaking in support of the proposal to make the school board meeting locations, to rotate them under Resolution 5.1. I am in complete support of this resolution to rotate the locations for multiple reasons as follows. One, moving the meetings as proposed would support input from stakeholders in each of the main Newburgh school communities in New Windsor, Town of Newburgh, City of Newburgh, by locating them in the towns and communities where they and the students live. Two, the facilities at each of these locations allow for and support far greater input by stakeholders because the locations are easier to access than the school board offices, and the increased size of the spaces where the meetings might happen is larger. They have auditoriums far larger than this meeting room, and I'm sure all the facilities needed for the meeting. In addition, the meeting should be moved for stakeholders in the town of Newburgh and New Windsor to make it easier for them to attend, given you are approving in this meeting a tax levy of almost $120 million, of which at least 2/3 of those taxes are coming from those communities. Given their investment in our children and their community, this school board should want to hear from those citizens, and moving the meetings will make it easier for them to attend. Number 4, a little tougher. In moving the meeting's location, it will reduce surrounding stakeholders in New Windsor and Newburgh's concern for safety attending board meetings given the high crime rate in the city of Newburgh, and specifically the neighborhood where the library and school board are located here. For reference, there were 3 major crimes in May, including 2 major drug busts and murders, and that was just in May. It's all in this district, east of Robinson Avenue 9W. If you move them to NFA, it'll be a lot easier for people to say, yeah, we're going to come to the meetings, because coming down here, there are a lot of people that don't want to come down here because of the crime. In addition to the last comment, a larger hall will make it a little easier for people to attend, because I don't think the level of chaos that's occurred in the last couple of meetings would happen in larger facilities, particularly in the 2 towns. It just won't happen. So, to close, moving the meetings to the surrounding school sites in other towns would significantly increase the engagement of town of Newburgh and New Windsor residents and many city residents by making it easier for them to attend the meetings and safer given locations of current meetings. So that's it. Given the towns pay 2/3 of the taxes, they should. The other issue I have is on Resolution 6.8, which is this 211 process for your new Director of School Safety and Security. That was supposed to be signed off before he's hired, not after, almost 4 months, I guess, after. And the question also comes up is, you've hired a guy who was a police chief in a city with the highest crime rate in Orange County and New York State. Who picked this guy? Okay? I mean, that's a good question that you ought to ask, because this guy is responsible for the safety of our children. And I think you could have picked somebody else. Was he vetted? And I think you ought to get to the bottom of that to make sure he was vetted like the other ones.
Like we should
Thank
vet
you.
your houses that the kids are living in?
Excuse me? I'm sorry, I was speaking, but anyway.
The next person signed up to speak is Mr. Ronaldo Santiago.
Good evening, Superintendent, members of the board. What I would like to speak to today, as far as the agenda is concerned, is point 8.2. This is the renewal of iReady, and I'm going to kind of shoehorn that into my point, because I believe that one of the primary missions, if not the primary mission, the school district should be focused on is the literacy of our children. Now, one problem I think where the school district lacks is that the Herculean efforts that you are all taking to try to get our literacy rates up is not being well communicated to the community. Now, to my understanding, the school website is getting revamped, which is a good thing. And one thing I want to use just to kind of shoehorn in there is the metrics that we get from iReady, the test scores. Those can be used to chart our children's progress as we advance in the school year. And along with the main page of the district, what I propose is a tab off that straight main page, basically outlining a literacy initiative, because that's what we need. We need a literacy initiative. We need to focus on getting our kids reading. Now, using iReady, I think, and the results that we get from it, I think we can chart the kids' progress and make an easy visual representation of how our children are doing. And perhaps using those metrics, we can help both your faculty and the parents know that perhaps there is something working, there is something not, and we can use that information to help each other, help our children. Because for all the great things that this district does, if the children are not or are having problems reading, they are not going to be able to levy those opportunities that this district gives them. They're going to be behind that 8 ball. So, again, I understand that this has little to do with the renewal of iReady itself, but I think it is a tool that we can use in order to kind of push both faculty and parents to be able to see readily how our children are doing, where our children are lagging, and how we can help them advance. Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak is Ms. Sade Burks.
What you gotta say, Sade? Let's go, Sade.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Superintendent. I like to see you in your seat. You're looking good up there. Welcome back. I would like to speak on the time change for the meetings.
I think it's inappropriate, I think it's unacceptable, and I think it's a shot to the community for you guys to push the meeting back to 7 o'clock at night. You have parents that come to these meetings, that want to speak at these meetings, and for you to ask them to wait till 7 o'clock at night, and then we have to wait here sometimes to 3 hours, because y'all go in y'all executive sessions, don't know what y'all doing, come out here and argue with each other for 3 and 4 hours, and we have to sit and wait for y'all to finish y'all foolery. I think that's a direct smack in the face to the community and to the taxpayers and to the staff and to the scholars of this district. Item 5.4, Mrs. Bunce. I'm not understanding why this situation keeps coming up. Ms. Bunce is overqualified for his position. She's done her due diligence. She's helped many of scholars, many of parents. She's done her work in the community. She deserves that position. How do you promote someone and then demote them? And then you guys are playing with the wordplay, because from my understanding, Ms. Bunce was an assistant principal at Horizons. So if you demote her and rescind your decision, then is she going back to assistant principal, or is she going back to or is she going to principal at Horizons? The public wants to know, what is she going back to? And then what are you going to do with the principal at Horizons? So you're just going to play musical chairs with the staff, and we're so close to the school year, not even a month out. School starts in a couple of weeks, and you're going to change the staff's position? She's been at Bombville the whole summer working. She's barely taking vacation days, and you're just going to up and move her because you feel like it, because it's a personal vendetta. We all knew this was coming last year when 4 board members stepped down. We knew they were recruiting people. And we knew those people were going to come up and finish off what the other ones couldn't finish. But they sit behind on Facebook and trigger everybody with their little comments. So we knew this was coming. I'm not surprised at all. The community is not surprised. But now we're here to deal with it, and we're here to handle it. Thank you for those that voted for curriculum instruction, because my question is to you. I'm not going to call no names, but 3 of you voted against curriculum instruction. How are you here for the children when you're going to vote down that, and we're about to start a new school year? To the board members that voted in, because can't say your names, don't want the gavel banged on me. Thank you that voted it. Thank you for you guys that voted it in. Also for public comments on non-agenda items, that's also a smack in the face to the community. Because for you to tell me that if I have a problem with my son in school, and y'all know I'm showing up because I always show up, but for you to tell me that I have to wait to the end of the meeting to speak about an issue with my son that's happening in the district, that's a straight smack in the face. This didn't change till you guys come on. What is your agenda? I'm just asking, what is your agenda for this community? Because I see you guys vote no to everything Dr. Campbell says. There's not even a reason for you voting no. It's just no. What is your agenda to change the public comments to the end of the meeting? So now everybody got to sit and wait till y'all done to make a public comment. God forbid if somebody have a concern about their child. They got to sit till this meeting is over to tell you about it? The community wants answers. You guys need to get it together and figure out what you are doing, because the community is not satisfied. I'm glad someone got up here and spoke about the crimes in Newburgh, because you just let it be known that you're afraid to come to Newburgh. That was a direct smack in the face. Discrimination, racism, all of that. So all of our kids go to the same district. They come to school together. So now because of the crimes in the city of Newburgh, how dare you, when your scholars live in the city of Newburgh? I live in the city of Newburgh. My son sees it every day. He ain't afraid to walk outside. How dare you? All of our children go to school. How dare you make that comment? How dare you make that comment? It's shame on you. Shame on you to make that comment like the city of Newburgh is a piece of crap. Like you can't walk the streets and we walk the streets every day. Shame on you. Shame on you. Messed up. That's messed up.
The next person signed up to speak is Ms. Starla Burks.
Good evening all. Yeah, that's not my time, but okay. It's always conflicting to stand here and to present yourself as a person of color, a person of integrity, a person of humility. And let's be clear. Thank you for the prayer. It wasn't, received by all, but I know one thing, I serve a sovereign God who's in control of all things. So with that being said, the rescind of Ms. Bunce's position is just, it's outright ridiculous. And the young lady who spoke prior to my sister, well, the first one, she's right. She paid her dues. She did her due diligence. She's invested a lot more than I can say others have. And when you see a person's work, as I know, not only in the natural sense, but going to church, you let that work speak for them. Her work has spoken for her well. So what you choose to do or whatever trap you're setting, I don't understand it, but please do not let our kids be put back to another disadvantage of foolery. Secondly, meeting locations, I don't understand why that's an issue, because from kindergarten to NFA graduate to, just living here 40 years, this has always been the meeting point. Crime has always been. Crime is not just centralized in the city of Newburgh. There's crime in the town of Newburgh. There's crime in New Windsor. There's crime in Vales Gate. There's crime in Meadow Hill. Honestly speaking, it just gets centralized because the city of Newburgh is predominantly Black. With you shifting these meetings, it's a personal vendetta. Let's make that clear, because you don't want certain ones to come because you feel like we have no transportation. But let's let it be known, where we need to go, we'll get to. So you can move them if you want to. You can by all means do that, but we're gonna get there. We're still going to show up. You're still going to see me. So I don't get it. Some of these things are just, it's nonsense. It's a waste of time. Let's focus on the reading. Let's focus on certain things. Thank you for those who did vote for the curriculum. Thank you for those who truly sit at these seats and truly care for our children, who are not coming in here with the preconceived notion of everything is all bad. Some of you Ms. Superintendent, because I can't say, I'm not Superintendent, Madam President, because I can't say your name because you're going to bang the gavel. But Madam President, you were the councilwoman here for a little bit. You worked right up on Broadway for, a long time. And it's always been crime. Has it or has it not? It's always been crime, but yet you run your business here. So my money is good, but my presence isn't. That's what you tell us. So I don't understand. I don't get it, but there are questions, and there's going to continue to be questions that go unanswered because you don't have an answer, because you sat here. You do things because you want to. That's why you said it. And we're going to do things because we want to. We're going to show up because we want to. We're going to speak because we want to. You're going to hear us because we want you to hear us. So also, lastly, the whole non-agenda items, if I got to wait till the end, I'm just going to express mine now. There was an incident a couple of weeks ago where there was an issue with myself, and because I am a woman, because I am an upright person, I will apologize, because you won't use that to taint me in any way, shape, or form. So with that being said, you all have a nice evening.
The next person signed up to speak is Mr. Ray Harvey.
Oh, he had to leave.
The next person signed up to speak is Miss Tracy Wallace.
Bring it all. Wish I could just bring down this one. Sorry, I just trying to bring it all together. Okay. Hi, I'm Tracy. I live right down the block here. And to the gentleman that spoke about the city of Newburgh, I just came from National Night Out, and I love my community, and the community was really great, and I wish I took videos. And it was right here, not even too far from here, National Night Out, and we had hot dogs and hamburgers, and there was even boxing. And yes, I saw Ms. Sade, my friend, and everyone else here. Most of the parents really did try to come today, but it was a beautiful night. And the community is really strong. My kids are in the football Steelers, and I know I speak about it a lot, I don't really want to waste a lot of time, but I get upset when people talk about the community in such a way because when we have Illuminated, they come out. When we have giveaways, they come out. When we have the Armory programs, they come out. Because there are a lot of white people that come to the Armory, that go to those free programs, and we are blessed to have Mr. Kaplan to do that for us. We are blessed to have free after school at a lot of places at the library. They go there too. So when there are free things in Newburgh, they do come out. So it's really shameful that, you know, they can't come out for a board meeting and put shame on the city like that. I just wanted to mention that. Another, the meetings. So I have problems with the main meeting because it's really steep to get up that hill to the main entrance, and it's really steep to get down in that auditorium. And so as a person with a disability, I'm just advocating that it's a really steep hill in Maine. I know that Temple Hill, you have 2 handicap spots in the front. I know because my daughter used to go there for 8th grade. And again, it's another long road, steep hill to get up. And I have never been into the building itself. I don't know about the accessibility. So if you can, just check on those locations. This is the most accessible where I can park right here and come right in. So I appreciate that. And I didn't check the buses. Like, can people come that don't have transportation? Can they get to those locations? You know, so that's just in consideration of that. I want to discuss the exceptional learners. Oh, I reset my time. If I don't get to this, I'll just get on the non-agenda. For the exceptional learners, on 10.1, oh great, I pressed it, sorry. Be it resolved, the Board of Education arranges for the placement of students with disabilities as recommended by the district, CSE, CPSC committees, and approve the authorization of funds to implement special education program and services consistent with such recommendations. I'm going to read something on Facebook. It wasn't my Facebook, but there are people that like to share. This comment is from a June 2024 retired teacher placed on a shared post. And I didn't share this. I'm just going to read the beginning. This person wrote, when it comes to all areas of special education in the Newburgh and Large City School District, we are failing our students. The most recent central administrators have been systematically removing many required qualifying services from students with IEPs during CSE meetings by convincing parents that the child no longer needs those services. And then there's an example of case in point, advanced physical education, and it goes on, but I don't have time for it. But the point is, in these meetings, they should be recorded, and I feel that if a person needs an advocate, I think the school should rightfully get them an advocate that they need for these meetings, because a lot of times, and I've been in that meeting and I've complaining and advocate for my kids, and I get yelled at sometimes, and I don't understand some of the things that they're saying. And I think I'm coming prepared. And then they come out with, that's not allowed, that's not allowed, that's not allowed. And it wasn't even the head person that was even saying, it was a school psychologist that was yelling at me at the time. And so I think that there needs to be advocacy. Another issue, I hope I don't run out of time, is really the one really at the bottom, 10.6, authorization for the Board of Education in Newburgh and Large City School District hereby authorize the superintendent of schools to enter into an agreement with the restorative center in the amount to not exceed $19,700 to provide a 3-day restorative justice training for the Newburgh and Large City School District personnel on August 19th, 20th, and the 3rd date. I went on the website and it said $650. I don't know where $19,700 restorative justice for 3 days is coming from, and the invoice is on here for it to be resolved. So I would just like to understand where the $19,700 is coming from for that. Thank you.
Madam President, there's no one else signed up to speak. Public comment started at 7:09. It's now 7:38. That would leave you 1 minute left for public comment on agenda items. Moving on to non-agenda items. What are we doing? Mr. Levinstein, you'll be the last person to speak on agenda items.
Thank you. I will be quick. So firstly, wow, I didn't know that the amount of tax levy for municipalities depends on where the meetings are. That was a little striking. It is quite clear the intent of of Resolution 5.1, moving Board of Education meetings from this room, the auditorium of the BOE, to 3 schools not set up for meetings and only previously used when this room was not available or when it was not large, when a large crowd was anticipated. It is quite clear the intent when the meetings are moved, when board members, except maybe the current majority, have never been asked to have a meeting moved. Whoever votes for this resolution can claim whatever they want and try to justify their vote, but again, it is quite clear of their intent. Thank you.
We're now on non-agenda items, public comment. First person signed up on non-agenda items is Miss Betty Hankins. Okay, we'll move on. The next person is Mr. David Ryan.
Thank you. Again, I came prepared. I've been here a long time. My name is, by the way, follow the procedure. My name is David Ryan. I live in the town of Newburgh. Besides being a former student and lifelong resident, which you're probably tired of hearing, I once sat on this board. This board used to have a cadence. Respectfully, I invoke Dr. Santinelli's name, but we had a cadence. We had a 4-week cadence where the committees met during weeks 1 and 2. The committees reported into the workshop on week 3. A lot of this, I'll be colloquial, even though I know I'm on TV and stuff, a lot of this bullshit is a lot taken care of in the workshop and filters all through the committee. And anyone in this room can come to those committee meetings. They're public. But there's a cadence. In Hebrew, we use the word around Passover, Seder. Like the forever story before the meal. Seder. There's an order to things. This board is out of order. As a friend to, I think, most of you, no, I'm not a one-subject parent. I would tell you to retreat. Come together. With or without a mediator. I would suggest a mediator. And get together, the 9 of you, or the 10 of you with the superintendent. And get back to the center. Get your cadence back. 4-week cadence. Committees meet. How many different committees do you have? At least like 7, 10, right? They all filter into this workshop meeting. Workshop takes care of all the noise. You come out here and you vote. And you look like princes. Like you got your act together. Because I don't care who gives more money either. You're right. Good point. But I'll say this much. In all 3 of those major municipalities, Newburgh, New York is a major municipality. Both the town and the city. New Windsor, New York is a major municipality. They all follow a similar cadence to what I just told you. Their committees meet in the first 2 weeks of their monthly cycle, right? We all know about the monthly cycle in business, not personal, right? And then in that 3rd week, a little levity. I'm just, maybe I should keep, my mother says I shouldn't go into comedy, so I'll keep it simple. Get your cadence back. You won't hear this. And the last thing that I would say is I grew up with racism in Newburgh. I know all about it. I got beat for 8 years in this district for one reason, for being Jewish, by one kid in the district could do nothing about it. And everybody watched. The teachers watched. So I know about racism. This is not racism. This is not racism. The people that came here are not racist. And the people that I think I speak for those 1,100, or maybe a portion thereof, are not racist. But they asked for a change. Remember what you promised to whom? That's all I got.
The next person signed up to speak is Dr. Dolly Ann Briggs.
Good evening. To the Board of Education, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for allowing me this moment to address a non-agenda concern. My name is Reverend Dr. Dolly Ann Briggs, and I am a member of this community where I serve as the first female pastor of the Baptist Temple Church, and I serve as the first female president of the well-respected Christian Ministerial Fellowship. We are very active in our community affairs, and we are very concerned about what is happening with this board. Due to my busy schedule, I am unable to attend all of the meetings in person. However, I have viewed some meetings on YouTube. We are extremely disturbed by the comment from this board's president, as she referenced a community member who was speaking during the public comment session. To label someone as such, or even use that terminology in a phase while they are expressing themselves to the board is unprofessional, inappropriate, and completely disrespectful. And then, during a subsequent meeting, the board president did not extend an apology to the individual. As we understand it, she did deny even saying it. But we all heard it on YouTube. Respectfully, we are demanding that she step down from the presidency. What kind of example? What kind of example is she showing our scholars? Is this what we want our scholars to emulate? They deserve better. We fully understand that when people come together from different backgrounds, they will not always agree. We fully understand that when our community members come to express their concerns, they should be able to do so without being berated. We will not tolerate this type of behavior from our leaders. Therefore, we come tonight to seek her removal as president of the Newburgh Board of Education. Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak is Ms. Erica Perez.
Good evening, Superintendent and ladies and gentlemen of the board. First, I do want to say thank you for making the meetings a little bit later. I know a lot of people are not happy about it, but for those of us who do not get out until after 6 p.m. at night, it makes it a great deal easier to set up childcare, to get our children to where they need to be safely, and to maybe throw a PB&J at them so that we can get here for 7 p.m. So thank you for that. The rotating of the meetings, I want to thank you for that as well, because again, Some of us who live in other areas do not have transportation. I do know that that is a need here in the city of Newburgh as well, but we are not taking into consideration the community members that live in New Windsor or town of Newburgh who do not have transportation. And I, for one, work with a great deal of, moms and children who get transportation from Department of Social Services, who have to take Ubers or taxis, and it is really difficult for them to have to do that and yet again pay for a sitter to leave their child at home to come here. But what I really wanted to speak on tonight is our exceptional learners. I have been really contacting a lot of my fellow exceptional learner parents because I feel like this is an area where we are truly just failing our children in so many ways. I have a few instances here that I can name, and this is really just a few. I have emails full. CSE, we have requests that were done back in May that still have not gotten paperwork home for parents to sign to get, reevaluations done. I have a parent of a 7-year-old child on the spectrum who was put on the wrong bus home. On Monday, July 8th, we had an entire busload of exceptional learners that were dropped at a totally different school than the parents were told. And the children were told another bus was gonna come pick them up. Bus did not arrive until 12, and no parents were notified of this. Again, these are exceptional learners. These are our most vulnerable children. On July 9th, yet again, we had exceptional learners dropped off somewhere other than where the parent was told. Parent is calling all over, called exceptional learners, called transportation. Transportation doesn't answer, by the way. I can vouch for that because I have called and called and called. So that is truly troubling. Mom was in tears on the phone to me at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. She did not have an answer where her child was. She was shaking. I'm shaking just speaking of it because I don't understand how we're failing these children this way. On the 6th, August 6th, parents were notified yet again, exceptional learners, there is yet another school change. So now parents are on the fence. Do I even send them? Now this week is a complete wash, the last week, because let's face it, exceptional learners, the reason why they're getting summer services, consistency. Consistency and regression, but we're bouncing them around schools. How is that consistent for our exceptional learners? How is that safe for them? How do we know, how do our parents know that we are not losing their children? They don't. They don't because this mom is still waiting for a call back from our administrative offices. Till this day, I actually messaged her this morning and said, has anybody contacted you about the first day of summer school? Not yet. And now summer school is over. That is appalling. Appalling. Okay, and she is still looking for answers. Meadow Hill has an 812 that was supposed to be a K1. Teacher's going on a leave. Parents are calling, trying to find out what's going on, and the parent was told, not sure, contact your teacher. Why would they contact the teacher that is going on leave? Somebody from the exceptional learner department or a principal or some type of administrator should have an answer for these parents. Again, an exceptional learner who is on the spectrum, almost no verbal skills. How are we ensuring their safety? Are parents really gonna have to air tag our kids everywhere we go? I had a bunch of things to say, but I'll leave it at that.
The next person signed up to speak is Mr. Ronaldo Santiago.
Good evening once again. Bringing it back to the literacy of our kids, one thing I wanted to touch upon and keep fresh in your minds, because I was reviewing some of the previous board meetings, and I was speaking about the ARC program. One of the questions that Mr. Howard posed pertaining to the ARC program is, was it implemented in all schools equally? And the answer was no. When the follow-up question of why, one of the answers, or one of the factors, I should say, was that there was teacher pushback. Now, obviously, I feel, and I believe I'm not going out on a limb by saying this, our teachers are our front line. They are interfacing with these children day in and day out. They are the ones instructing them. They know their students' strengths and weaknesses, or at least I hope they would. That being said, I can't imagine that the teacher pushback is without input as to what could possibly help these children along. Now, I understand that implementing any curriculum is a huge investment of finance, time, resource, absolutely. But logic dictates that at best, any curriculum that we implement is going to be one size fits most. It's not going to be one size fits all. So there needs to be supplemental materials to help those children where ARC doesn't quite fit their learning capabilities to help them come up. Now, again, I'm positive that there is effort. I'm positive that there is supplemental materials that are in use. But again, this is not communicated to the community in a cohesive way. Like, I had to do some hunting. I did come across the newsletter that outlines our students' accomplishments, and that is important. The community absolutely needs to hear the victories of our children. But again, I think with a literacy initiative and putting a spotlight on it, I think that we can make a one-stop shop for everything that the district is doing, the curriculums, the supplemental materials. Heck, if there are some teachers that want to put in some extra time, you don't have to do a full lesson. Put a little lesson up for parents that they can do with their kids. Something that can help parents gird their children into reading better. You can have word of the day, vocabulary words, anything. I myself, we have one of our children that are in district that I'm going to have to be working on with him on vocabulary. It's important. It's something that helps them. I am more than willing to offer my time and expertise to help make this happen. But I do feel that we really, one of our main missions in this coming school year needs to be literacy. We really, everyone, and I include everyone in this board, everyone on this side, we're all concerned about our children and their progress, and we need to really focus on this literacy. And I feel one of the other questions in that teacher pushback, what forums are they afforded in order to give their feedback, in order to give their suggestions? Because again, their words need to have great weight in what is working, what is not working. Are there feedback forms? Are the feedback forms reviewed? One of the things that we have invested in the ARC program, but again, just like anything, there needs to be a return on investment. At one point, I understand that it takes time for progress to be manifest, absolutely. Have we had the discussion, or is there a discussion, how much time and how much progress is acceptable before we can say we are going to continue down this road, or perhaps we need to look at some other direction in order to help our kids, pull them out of this quagmire of non-literacy that we seem to be stuck in, because it is absolutely of the utmost importance. And when I say to focus on this, making the one-stop shop, suggestions to parents, sure, we can tell parents, hey, read with your kids at night, and that's great. But I think if you give them concise instruction, I'm sure the parents will be able to help their children and get them up on reading. Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak is Mr. Kyle Conway.
Good evening, good evening. So, I want to talk about the kids. I had a student, I'm very passionate in class, and I'm very animated. And I keep telling the kids, yo, I'm dead serious. Like, stop, you know how kids are, I'm dead serious. And one day he said, my man said, you're not dead serious, you're dad serious. I was like, oh. I had another student tell me, he said something profound. He said, when there's a will, there's a win. Not where there's a will, there's a way. And I said, you just taught thousands of people you're never going to meet. And he was surprised that I found him inspiring, right? Our kids are inspiring. Our go-backs are inspiring. No matter which shade, yellow gold, white gold, rose gold. My job is to make sure they're all polished, regardless of what they look like, right? I'm also coming, I mention this because we don't talk about the kids enough. I think we should get back to talking about the kids. I also want to talk about my new position as the president of the NAACP of this local area. And I would like for the branch to be leveraged to help you, board members, communicate to the community who you are. You take a lot of information, you get a lot of energy, and you don't get to reply. For the gentleman who made the comment about the board meetings lately, we have had a witness of what historical pain looks like. The people in Newburgh are not savages. They are passionate people. Newburgh is the most New York State city. We have the suburbs, the grit of a city. We got some farm and a forest. This is the most New York State city. And New York State people, we don't play. And when they see something that is injustice, they're going to speak on it. So what you saw here was historical pain. I think I would like for the board members to meet with me and appropriately partner with the NAACP. When you're an educator, you are an activist. And you have activists who educate. You are all activists. Do you realize in all your decision-making, how are you demonstrating your activism for these children? You may want to bring the community together, but when you do, like many others who have stereotyped Newburgh, take a meeting out of a central place. Newburgh is a walking city. New Windsor, town of Newburgh, is a driving city. The people who drive can drive here. It's not that much gas, right? This wasn't on my agenda to speak, but for someone to say that, it is such a disrespect. It is such a disrespect to someone like me, because the truth is, I don't look like a teacher. My students are criminalized. And it's very frustrating that we're being distracted. As educators, we don't do our job, our kids die. Do we want to fight or do we want to win? Do we want to fight or do we want to win? We need to work on our community or relational skills. And I'm here to say, let's work. I'm an untenured teacher. Everyone says this is career suicide. I'm here to fight. I care about these kids. And if I lose my job because I want to put myself in the fire, because you know what happens when we go through the fire? You get molded, right? I'm a go-back by profession. I want to be in Newburgh. I don't want to teach anywhere else. This is a dope city. And I'm from New York City. And I'm happy I'm here. And I love these kids. And for someone who has an issue with walking around in Newburgh, I'm a go-back. I don't hold back for any go-back. We're go-backs. We should set a golden standard and let their educational experience here be the golden era in their life. So let's partner together with the NAACP and other organizations and have your time to speak, because no one really gets to hear your voice. And let's see if we can bring the community together.
The next person signed up to speak on non-agenda items is Ms. Sade Burks.
Good evening, everyone, again. This is going to be my first response, but I ain't want to say it in public and non-agenda items because I don't want the gavel banged on me. But I have to take accountability as somebody that ran for the board, as a mother, as a TA, not in this district, but as a TA and as a woman of God, I have to take accountability. And last week, I acted out of my emotions from me being upset. I'm upset because I'm tired of you guys getting up here with your own agenda and playing in my face and playing in this community's face. But it did not deserve the right for me to tell you what I told you, and I will not even repeat it. I'm sorry for saying that to you. I'm sorry, Ms. Hobbs. I'm sorry, Ms. Joyce. You guys have seen me grow up, and you've seen the woman that I've become. I'm sorry, Ma, because it's not the woman you raised me to be. So I apologize wholeheartedly. Now, enough with the tears. Last meeting, the community was very upset because you felt it was your right to invite an ex-teacher that was fired for touching on children to come into this room, which brings me to my next point. You made a statement, community member, that you feel unsafe in Newburgh, but you didn't feel unsafe when this teacher that touches children came up in here and stood at this podium and had the right to speak. But when I wanted to speak, when another community member wanted to speak, you did not yield time to us. Are you here for the community? Are you here for the children? Or are you here with your own personal vendetta? Because that was a smack in the face as a community member, as a mother, as a taxpayer, as someone who is dedicated to fight for the rights of these children, black, brown, or white. I am here every night. My 8-year-old son is here, still here. He's an exceptional learner, and he sits through these meetings all the time. If he can do it, anybody else can do it. And if they're afraid to step foot here, then maybe they need to redirect themselves and ask God to put out the spirit of fear and give them a spirit of peace. Because it's a shame as an adult that you're afraid to come to the city of Newburgh and you got kids that walk this block every day and night. Don't talk to me about racism when I got to worry about if my black son walks in the store and picks up a bag of chips. Are they going to think he's stealing? Is the cops going to come on? Please don't talk about racism. If you don't have a black son, or if you ain't got a mixed child, because let's be real, everybody mixed now. If you got a little melanin in your skin, you got to worry about if your child walks out that door. And I got a big hefty son. So if he walk out that door and do anything, I'm on him all the time. Fix your posture. Watch the way you stand. Don't talk to me like that. Because if you give me an attitude, you're going to give them an attitude. And they ain't going to be like mama. They ain't going to tap you on the behind and then come tuck you in at night. They're going to beat the mess out of you because that's what they do to our young black boys. So please do not get up here and talk about racism if you ain't got no kid with color. I don't want to hear it. I'm sick of that narrative. And I'm also sick of the narrative that might be put out there today that I'm allowed angry black women because I'm speaking for the members of this community. Also, we had another board member, an ex-board member, that took it upon herself to post a whole agenda 2 days before you guys put it out. I don't have to say no names because you ain't gonna bang the gavel on me this time. But I'm just saying there's something fishy going up here. And to the board members that are starting to think about your decisions and going against what you got up here and ran for, which is first personal vendetta, thank you guys for opening your eyes and taking the time to look around and see what is real. Now, I don't got no problem for you fighting for what you believe in, but make sure it's real. And make sure it's not because of what other people want, and make sure it's because of what you want. Have a good day.
Public comment on non-agenda items started at 7:40. It's now 8:07 or 8:08. There's 2 minutes left. The next person signed up to speak is Ms. Starla Burks. She left.
Okay, my non-agenda item was the same. I was here on last week. There was a disturbance or whatever, and like I said, I am apologizing. But I wholeheartedly agree with what my sister is saying. Racism is at an all-time high, not just in here, but in the United States, in the government, period. And when we look at things and we challenge you, it's not because
like she said, you want to identify us as angry Black women. We've walked in these shoes, and I'm telling you right now, if we trade shoes, you would give them right back the minute you put it on. Your strength is not my strength. Your faith ain't my faith. Your trust ain't my trust. When we have to teach our kids from birth that you're born with stripes just because you're Black, you don't know the pain and the agony that we feel teaching our kid that society is always gonna deem you as unsuccessful because you're Black. You don't know that struggle. You don't know what it is to build up a kid to send them out into a world that tears them down, regardless of how intelligent they are. You don't know that struggle. You don't know the struggle of wearing the world on your back just because. This world was built on our backs, not yours, ours. You came and got us from where we was at. And now we're here and you're in fear. How dare you fear what you brought it here? You brought us here. We was living well where we was at, but now we here and we have a voice, and that's what you're scared of. Because no longer will you triumph because we're gonna be quiet. No longer will you tell my child they're not enough because they are more than enough. They're more than enough. They're intelligent, they're smart. Let's get back to why we are here. These are kids, white, Black, brown. There's white people that are unfortunate. There's white people that are on social service. There's white people that act just as ignorant as you say we act, if not worse. There's white people. There are white people. When I stood up here a couple of weeks ago and I referenced the KKK, you gavelled me. But this man right here stood up here and said bullshit, and it was clear because you said asshole. So let's make it right. We get up here and we speak and we hold ourselves accountable, but yet we get gavelled, we get banged out because you're intimidated by our intelligence, our presence, the way we carry ourselves. That's not right. That gavel should have went off. It should have broke. Because the way you banged it when my sister was up here the other week, that was ridiculous. But he stood here because he's one of your people. It's okay. And that's wrong. So not only should you apologize for calling the other one an asshole, you should just apologize for calling us and treating us the way you treat us. You should apologize to our superintendent for treating her the way you treat her. But you know what? You'll never give an apology because an apology will then render you to be accountable for what you did, and you don't want accountability. You got somebody who's sitting here who votes no to everything, I don't even think she reads anything. But she just says no.
Come on now.
Let's start airing everybody laundry. And Facebook, that should have never, ever been allowed to be a platform where you as board members go to express and put people's business out and just basically taunt people. Because that's what you do in representation of who you are. You taunt behind the keyboard. Before it was a white cloth, but now it's the keyboard. So you're going to taunt behind there, but when it's brought to your face, you can't handle it. But this is what you're going to get. We're not criminalized. We're not any of that. We are upset and we're passionate, but we know how to handle that. So please stop. Get back to our children. And if you mean them no good, please step down like the good Reverend said. Step down. Because you don't mean us no good. You or your niece. Or the other one, because who is he? Please, do us a favor. Do yourselves a favor. And render yourself the headache. And just step down.
Okay, and now I'd like to turn it over to the superintendent for her update.
What about the rest of the people on the agenda that didn't speak?
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss things on this agenda.
Do you have a second?
Second. Point of order, what's the specific reason, employment history of particular individuals, and obtain advice from legal counsel?
I would like to obtain advice from legal counsel.
Thank you.
Discussion?
Would this replace our executive session at the end of the meeting? Yes? Okay.
Yes. Okay. Roll call?
Roll call to go into executive session. Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray? Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Politi? Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes. Okay, we're back in session. I'd like to turn it over to the superintendent for your update.
Thank you. If it's possible, I'll have the capital update, and then I'll speak after you're done, if that's okay with you. You want to do board consensus to see if it's okay?
It's all good news. So, Dr. Campbell, Madam President, members of the board, my name is Tom Ritzenthaler with CS Arch, right here in Newburgh, and Ben Alling is here with Jacobs Construction Management. Here to give you a capital update on the ongoing projects throughout the district. It looks like a big, long agenda. We are going to keep this fairly brief. Some of these are just check-ins with some of the projects. We're going to go right through from Heritage all the way down to the 2019 Proposition 5. So I always like to remind everybody, both on the board and in the community, why we're going through and making capital improvements to buildings, and it's all about the students, it's all about the children. We're trying to improve the education for children throughout the Newburgh school system, and all of these projects will certainly make a difference. So lots to celebrate here. So we'll start with the Heritage Middle School, the site circulation project. Anyone who's been by Heritage the last month knows that this is in full swing. Just to remind the community, this is to really provide some queue space for the parent pickups, especially in the afternoon, as well as upgraded drop-off and pickup spaces for the buses in the primary loop. This is well underway. You'll also note that we are adding the second egress, the second entry-exit, especially for emergency purposes, but also to separate out the drive for a faculty staff entrance drive and a bus loop drive as well. So this is well underway. I'll show you a few pictures. You can see we've got a lot of the sidewalks have been completed, the new concrete walks, the drop-off walks, now the full 10-foot width as prescribed by the education department. And so this is coming along very, very nice. We're really focused on the bus loop right now, the primary loop and the primary entrance drive, because that obviously needs to be completed before the students return, and it will be. And then we'll move on to finishing up the new entrance exit roadway. So you can see some of the progress here. It's coming along very, very nicely. The contractor's doing a fantastic job. And Ben has reminded me that starting next week, we're going to start doing the asphalt pavement to these drives. So you're going to see big improvements coming very, very quickly. We are also doing improvements to some of the failing gutter systems and flashing on the primary building, and that's underway. So lots of new copper gutters. We're being historically sensitive, as we should always be, and that is coming along nicely as well. So just a reminder of the schedule. So we're going to reach substantial completion for the bus loop and the related work to that bus loop. That's going to be August 30th, again, before the school year starts. Then the contractor will continue to focus on the secondary area of that secondary entrance exit drive, and that should be completed by the end of September, and then we'll spend the next month doing a project closeout. So really in good shape here. It's been a remarkable improvement, and I'll just remind the board once again, we are still significantly under budget, so that's always a good thing as well. And so this is tracking some of the changes that we've had based on some of the field conditions that we've had and discovered. You know, we've had rock removals that we've had to do. The board previously approved that at a different meeting, but this accounts for it. But you can see the last line is the line we should be really focused on. We are still $512,000 under budget for this project, so that's good news. So the emergency concrete, not a lot to talk about with respect to this. We're still awaiting the FRP doors. That's the remaining item we need to finish this project. So that was a long lead time item. We're anticipating they'll be in by the end of this month. So we'll try to get this project closed out in September. So by the end of September, our goal is to have this project closed out. The walkway is in full use. It's safe for student use, as it has been since those primary features were completed with the railings and the steps. Actually looks very, very nice. It's working very well. So that is in good shape. The NFA locker room renovations, as you might recall, this is predominantly the boys' room locker room, as well as teams' rooms for boys and girls. So here's the new layout. This will be a full gut renovation. Would like to point out, we did make the submission to SCD, and we are now under review by SCD. So we're really right on track. We had always intended to bid this in the fall. We're on track to bid this in the fall, September, October, and really we can begin that work, late October if we can get the contracts awarded, because that's an isolated area of the building that's not in current use, and we can get that work done during the school year. So we anticipate trying to start construction on or about November 1st with completion the following by August 1st of the following year. It's a pretty significant project, so it's going to take us some time to get that done. It's a pretty dramatic gut renovation, but will serve the district quite well. And then this is really going to lend equity to both the team room situation for both boys and girls sports. The emergency roof replacement, so if you've been by the back of the building, this is well underway. So I just wanted to point out to everybody, this is the 2001 wing of the building that we're doing roof replacements, and then some associated vintage roofs that are connector corridors, corridor to or a vestibule roof, and the roof over a portion of the cafeteria, all the same vintage, all in failure. As you remember, the board declared this an emergency. We did this under contract. The contractor is well underway and anticipates completing this by the school year. So again, we started construction already. We're in full swing. We've done the testing we need for the roof systems. We anticipate substantial completion August 31st, and then closeout we'll do during that September period. And the substantial completion, I'll have to defer to Andy, that may or may not include putting the solar panels back on the roof. I think we're going to need till the end of the month. And then again, we're going to have to restore the solar panel array that was on that roof. That was part of the energy performance contract, and we need to get that system reinitiated, and that work is being done by the contractor that actually installed the panels. So we're in really good shape there, and they're being stored on site. So now let's talk about the good news of the day. So CTE building, everybody has been waiting for this. Just remind everybody what the building is going to look like. We're very, very excited. We had our construction kickoff meeting today. We had everybody actually in one of the library rooms to kick off the event. And just remind everybody, we did award this at the last board meeting to Pike Construction, well under what we projected the cost of the bids were gonna come in, so we're very happy about that. We had a nice tight set of bids. You can see from 70.4 to 74.1. That's extremely tight for a project this size. So we did recommend Pike, and they have been awarded. They are under contract. So we're gonna start construction. In fact, they're going to be on site Monday, starting prep of the site. So that's good news. So that's very, very good news. We've got 2 years to complete this building and get the district in session for September of '26. That's our focus, and that's what we're gonna do. We do wanna plan a formal groundbreaking once the school year starts up again. We're trying to look to the district to select a date for that groundbreaking so that we can work toward it. Obviously, this is ceremonial because we'll have already, quote, broken ground, because we're not going to wait for the groundbreaking, but we do want to celebrate that. This is a huge milestone for the district. This is one of the most exciting projects in this region, significant, and the benefits to the school, the students at Newburgh is just tremendous. Tremendous. It's really going to be exciting to see this come out of the ground. And then program begins September 26th. So, 2 years is going to go very, very fast. I'm going to let Ben talk about the costs because the board had requested at one of the last meetings that we do an accounting of the costs both for CTE as well as all of Prop 4 and Prop 5. So I'm going to kick it over to him.
So this is just a snapshot of, the actual costs that we got from the current bidder that was awarded, as well as we have some breakouts for state contracts, district requests to have, specific technology into these buildings that have been used around the district and a district used or approved. So you'll see here how these costs break out. This gives you a snapshot of where we were, budgetary wise. It puts us at 86 million. We had initially estimated at 99 million. For the total project cost, there's still FF&E, which is, furniture, fixtures, and you got some construction contingency built into that number. So, all in all, we're doing very good on the initial budget that was placed for this project. Got it. So update for New Windsor, there's still contractors that are procuring material and getting equipment for that project. While it's still active, we're still working toward trying to get that project going at New Windsor Elementary School. This is a snapshot of Proposition 4, where we are on that project, and we're within that budget for Prop 4. There is some reserve funds down as you read down in this number spreadsheet. So again, Proposition 4 is still tracking good in terms of costs.
So, and you might want to point out, the last time we showed this slide, the cost remaining total was about 24 million. Now we're at 30 million.
Right. So
that reflects the reduction in costs that we now see from the CTE building.
So yeah, we're taking the reserve that came from being under budget on those bids and has now gone into the reserve fund. So as these projects start to finish out, we'll see how these numbers work out. But it's good to note that we have reserve on these on this proposition for now. Just an update on Proposition 5, which is the mechanical electrical upgrades. At Temple and Meadow Hill, they're doing transformer replacements to get that service up to speed with what we need to do then for mechanical upgrades for those schools. You can see that we awarded, that project back in May, and we're expected to finish all of the electrical upgrades work at both schools as of, this week. And then we'll just have some restoration work to go along with that. You can see some of the progress photos here. Construction-wise, they've set the construction, or the Central Hudson vaults, and they've got the secondary lines going into the building. So Meadow Hill has already did their power shutdown. They got the new transformer, and power is restored back to that school. Temple Hill is happening this week, and that should be finished up at the end of this week for the power upgrades. So, is there any questions in terms of the projects? Yes.
Hi, on the new CTE building, looks like we got a little bit excess funds. Can we get a proposal on the cost to put solar panels on there to offset some of the electric costs once the building is up?
That's yes, I think that's a possibility.
I mean, it's a nice flat roof, and if it's can bear the weight of the panels, why not look at it now while we got excess budget?
Sure. I think that's something definitely that can be considered. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. So during the handing out of the bids, were there conversations around who those employees will be? Will there be local employees? Will there be women employees? Will there be a diverse population of people working on these projects? Was that part of the bid conversation?
Yes, it was. So right now, the way that CTE is set up, it was bid to a single prime contractor, a general contractor. So he lets all the contracts out. Part of the discussion is because this is through the Building Trade Council as well, because we have a PLA, that they're involved with getting local tradesmen and groups involved with that project. So those discussions have happened and continue to happen as they let out contracts for that project. But they will be pulling from the local union halls and the local groups that are here to service these trades that have to build this job. So we will have lots of tradesmen that are going to be flooding this project to try to get us within that 24-month schedule that was put out there for this job.
Thank you.
Yep.
I just want to add for the presentation, when Ben talked about the mechanical upgrades to Meadow Hill and Temple Hill, and we do in all the schools, we're putting air conditioner in every classroom, every cafeteria, every gym. That's why we're doing these electrical upgrades. So the 700 window air conditioners that we have in our district, it's our goal to get rid of them in the next few years. So it's going to help tremendously with the air quality in all the classrooms and in all the spaces. We have talked about no air conditioning in some of our schools. Our goal with this proposition number 5 is to get most of the schools up to code and with central air conditioner, new filters in all the schools is going to improve the quality of the classroom 100%, actually probably 200%. So that's why we had to do all this upgrade, because imagine taking 50 window air conditioners from a school but putting central air. It takes a lot of energy. So we'll be working with Central Hudson to upgrade that up front. So next year when we start putting the equipment, we have the energy necessary to power all this equipment.
Yes.
On the Heritage project, was every...
Can you turn your mic on, please, Ms. Bell?
On the Heritage project, was everything completed, or was, because we have such a large overage, or we're coming in under, was every little thing completed? Like were the sidewalks that were existing, were they, redone, and the steps redone, and all of that?
Not everything.
So everything that was initially planned has been done, and we have actually added work into that, and the board's been approving that as we've gone along. Additional concrete work that we felt might have posed a little bit of a safety hazard. It went beyond what the original project was set to do. We've added that in. We're doing some additional asphalt work. We've had to do some replacements to some of the fire hydrants that once they were excavated, were in disrepair and had deteriorated to where we wanted to replace them in the interest of safety, and that was the time, because we were actually relocating one of them. So I think everything we set out to do has been done, and we've actually done some extras as well. We're doing some additional gutters on the building that weren't part of the original contract. We had an allowance in there for that. We kept within that allowance, but that was the time to do it because the district was having a problem with water infiltration from some of those gutters. We wanted to address it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I would like to provide some context for items that are proposed on this evening's agenda. There are 2 items listed under the Board President section that propose to rescind previous actions taken by the Board. These items are tied to personnel and programmatic matters for which I am responsible. Proposing to rescind these items disregards the will of the collective board who were elected by our community and undermines my authority as a leader of the district. Regardless of who was elected or the platform they ran on, each board member has a responsibility to represent all members of our community and should not act on their own personal agendas. Tonight, I'm hoping that we begin to see more collaboration on behalf of our elected body, and I'm hopeful. I would like to take some time to celebrate the good work that is being done in the district over the summer. Our extended school year programs have welcomed hundreds of scholars as we continue to enjoy engaging in academic-rich activities throughout the summer months. Last weekend, our community gathered to give away 1,000 backpacks to children in need. We continue to be thankful. It was really a great event, and it really warmed our hearts to see so many members of the community. Thank you, Mr. Harvey, for always showing up and helping us not only pack, but also be there to deliver. Lots of members in the audience as well as on the dais here. Thank you for being there. Board members who were able to come and attend and be a part of this event. Those of you who were not there, I know that you were there in spirit. And we received numerous messages indicating that you wish you were there. Keep up the great work, and so we thank you for that. Thank you for being there with us and supporting and promoting us. Thanks again to our faculty and staff who coordinate these important events and the volunteers and community organizations who continue to support these initiatives. We thank you, we need you, and we see you, and thanks for your continued support. Our district continues to lead the way. Last week, I had the honor and privilege to be invited to sit with Governor Hochul and a collection of leaders in education from across the state to share our experiences with cell phone use in schools. This summer alone, our district has been featured as a trailblazer, when it comes to limiting cell phone use as a way to focus our students' learning and support positive social interactions among our children. Just this summer, our district has been featured in local, national, and international news outlets discussing this important topic in today's educational environment. And our high school principals have fielded calls from dozens of school districts across the country to learn more about our approach. I commend our faculty, our staff, administrators, and Board of Education members for having the foresight to approve this initiative for our students. Last but certainly not least, we're looking forward to welcoming our students, faculty, staff, and families back for a new school year. The first day of school is Thursday, September 5th. Leading up to that exciting day, many schools are hosting orientation events, so please visit our district website to make sure your child is prepared for the first day. We miss them, we can't wait to see them. On a final note, Dr. Freeman Mack is going to discuss an upcoming event that we will be hosting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. I want to talk about our convocation and what a convocation is. Convocation is something in all my 25 years of education that I have enjoyed attending every September. It is inspirational, it is motivational. It's that returning back to the grind for educators, teachers, administrators, custodians, food service workers, your clerical staff. It's coming back together in September after being away for the summer. It's being able to come together and see a face and give a hug, and a tight, as my nephew Grayson would say. But it allows us to come back together and embrace one another and get ready for what we have in front of us, the kids we serve. Convocation is an opportunity for us to get energized, to get excited about the kids that we serve and what we want to plan and what we want to do for them. Convocation is a time that is holy and that is sacred to educators. So that's what will happen on September 4th, and it is a beautiful event, it is a beautiful thing. In doing Convocation and in celebrating and coming back together, and I say this because we've been apart, guys. With COVID, with everything that's been happening, we've been virtual. We need to be able to come back together and not have things happen in isolation. And that's something that is imperative. It's not just for our students, it's for the adults too. So on September 4th, our convocation ceremony, we had difficulty finding a location to fit all 2,499 employees in this district. Our auditoriums aren't that big, so we looked for someplace close by where we could be able to come together and see each other and be happy about seeing one another. And we found that at the Civic Center in Poughkeepsie. And we also wanted to have a dynamic speaker. Many of our buildings have been asking for an understanding and support in culturally responsive teaching, in understanding the students that sit in front of them. When we examine our strategic goals as a district, when we talk about welcoming and affirming environments, I know of no one who does that better than Dr. Chris Emden. He is by far the most highly acclaimed keynote speaker throughout the United States and even in other countries. He has spoken in the past year for keynote ceremonies, I want to say last school year, in Chappaqua, in Rochester. Nationally, he has spoken at different conferences in and outside of the United States. He speaks in Maryland, he speaks in Washington, D.C. Dr. Emden speaks in New York City for the Department of Education. He's spoken in Rochester, and he recently spoke in the month of July at Ulster BOCES for the deeper learning. He was also there. What Dr. Emden cultivates and creates, and his work truly resonates deeply with many of us, it's his mission. He's a teacher. He's an amazing teacher. His emphasis on culturally responsive teaching and his approach to education, it centers on lived experiences of all students in every aspect. I've never met someone who empowers you so much that you want to rap about the periodic table. Who does that? Dr. Emden does, and he teaches kids how to do that. He has a whole philosophy on ratchetemics, but it's not ratchet, it's academics, and it speaks to children and it speaks to kids. Because if a child can rap about Biggie or whoever, they can also rap about the periodic table. They can have a rap battle about the importance of Abraham Lincoln. They can have a rap battle, I don't know, guys, I think there's a play called Hamilton. It was created out of what happens in the classroom when you're rapping about something historical or about the quadratic equations, whatever it is. Whatever we do to motivate kids, to teach them to learn, that's what Dr. Emden talks about. So Dr. Emden advocates for educational practices that not only acknowledge diversity, but actively leverage, it as a strength. He supports and he amplifies the importance of embedding equity in every aspect of our educational practices. And he ensures and really motivates teachers to understand that all students can learn and grow, every single one of them, regardless of their background, regardless of their opportunities or disadvantages. That's what his focus is. Last year, when we lost one of our assistant superintendents, it was difficult. I got pulled away from my work My title is Assistant Superintendent, Chief Equity Officer, whatever that means. And I say that because equity is in everything that we do, whether it's human resources, exceptional learners, curriculum and instruction. Equity isn't outside of everything. It is embedded and enmeshed in everything that we do. It has to be equitable. But the problem is, do we understand what equity is? And we don't. We witness that on Tuesdays in this room. We don't. So I feel compelled to return to that work of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because these are the cornerstones of creating an educational environment where every student feels like they matter. Diversity, equity, and inclusion isn't just that. It's diversity, equity, inclusion, access, and belonging. Our students need to feel all of that. So when we think about why Dr. Emden has come in and why we're having this convocation, it's because our kids need it. Returning back to that work for me is imperative. I started it when I came. We have to finish rolling out our culturally responsive education framework. We have to look at welcoming and affirming. And it's not just about our students feeling welcomed and affirmed. It's about everybody that walks into our buildings. It's about our teachers, our clerical staff, our custodians, our security monitors, everybody, our buildings and grounds, every single person feeling welcomed and affirmed. So that's what we'll be returning to. I hope and pray that our convocation will be amazing, and I know that it will because we got Dr. Chris Emden. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, I have item 3.3 for your consideration.
Okay, can I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Doré? Yes. Mr. Howard? Yes. Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
So I turn it over to the clerk of the board.
I'm sorry. I just want to say a couple more things. I apologize for not indicating that. Rightfully so, before I conclude, I'd like to take a moment to thank some folks in this, on the staff. But before I even do that, I notice that someone's here in the audience and I did not properly get to thank you. And I would like for you to stand so we can properly recognize and thank you for your service, Dr. Van. That is so not her style. I'm so happy that you came here and that you continue to be a part of our educational community. You will be missed. You brought a lot to the table. I know that you had a long, long career, and we're so thankful that you ended it here in your community of Newburgh, and the door is always open. I say that to select few, but know that you have a place here, a place in my heart, and I thank you for everything that for everything that you've done to help with our students, our staff, and you will be sorely missed. And it gives me great joy to see you sitting there. So thank you, Dr. Van. I know that Dr. McLemore would like to address the board, but I'd like to say as well to you before I forget, or I don't have an opportunity. Mac, I know that you want to speak. You asked for an opportunity to speak, but I want to thank you while you're standing there.
Thank you, thank you. So, good evening, everyone. Dr. Campbell, Board President, Ms. Bello, and members of the board. I want to take this opportunity to speak to you rather than sending you a letter. I believe that sharing my own narrative in person conveys the depth of my gratitude and reflection. This moment is too significant to be expressed through written words alone. It is with deep sense of gratitude and reflection that I announce my retirement from the district effective August 30th, 2024, which is on the agenda. As I prepare to close this chapter, this significant chapter in my life, I am filled with appreciation for the years that I have had the honor to serve in this remarkable district. My journey here has been profoundly personal and professional, and it has been a true privilege to contribute to a community that holds such a special place in my heart. As a product of this community, my connection is deeply rooted in Newburgh. I was born here. I was reared here. I attended school here from elementary to 12th grade. My entire educational and professional journey has been intertwined with this district, making this moment particularly moving. Over the years, I have witnessed significant changes within this community, from urban renewal to urban removal, shifts in population, and transitions from periods of civil unrest to seasons of peace. These experiences have profoundly shaped my understanding of the community we serve and have deeply informed my approach to education and leadership. My decision to leave the corporate world and enter education was driven by a strong desire to make a meaningful impact within the very community that helped shape me. Throughout my 35 plus years in education, I have dedicated approximately 70% of that time to administrative roles, of which 18 of those years were spent in central office. Each role, whether a teacher, program specialist, assistant principal, principal, executive director, or assistant superintendent, has provided me with unique opportunities to contribute to the growth and success of our students and staff. Each position has been a rewarding experience, allowing me to give back to a district that has given me so much. Successfully financing and furthering my education through doctoral studies on my own time has been an expensive but rewarding experience. Extending that knowledge gained with the help of my executive director, Sarah Van, helped me to do a voluntary book study with the administrators in this district that has been rewarding. One of the most enriching aspects of my career has been the opportunity to work closely with various union leaders, including 5 NTA presidents, 4 CSEA union presidents, 4 NASA union presidents, 6 superintendents. These collaborations have brought both challenges and rewards. Despite occasional disagreements on specific issues, our collective efforts have always been centered around achieving the best outcome for our students and staff. The spirit of collaboration, even when we face differing opinions, has been a testament to the strength and unity of our district. Education, while not financially lucrative, is immensely rewarding in other ways. It is a field where true success is reflected not in material wealth, but in lasting relationships and positive impacts we have on students and colleagues. The late Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States, shared a story that resonates with me deeply. He spoke of a young man who, while walking through a graveyard, reminiscing about a loved one, noticed an interesting inscription on a tombstone that read, "Remember me as you pass by. As you are, so once was I. As I am, so you will be. So be content to follow me." So the young man thought about it a while. For a moment, he reached down and he picked up a sharp stone and he decided to inscribe the following words: "To follow you, I am content. I wish I knew which way you went." So the moral of the story is that I hope my leadership in this district has given someone the motivation not to just follow my words, but to follow my deeds. My entry into this field, as well as my exit, has been marked by a recognition of imperfections. I have always strived to be a role model and to maintain a work ethic that is both dedicated and exemplary. I am particularly proud of the fact that since 1999, I have only missed 5 days of work due to COVID-19. This commitment reflects my dedication to my role and my belief in the importance of being present for the community that I serve. My tenure in Newburgh has been a deeply rewarding chapter of my life. Throughout my career, my faith, my family, my friends have been my pillars of strength, helping me navigate the highs and lows of my journey. A plaque was given to me by the former Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources that has served as a guiding principle throughout my time here in central office. The plaque reads, "In the end, each of us will be judged by our standard of life, not by our standard of living. Our measure of giving, not by our measure of wealth. And by our simple goodness, and not by our seeming greatness." This message has been a reminder of the values that truly matter and has guided my efforts to serve with integrity and purpose. As I prepare to transition to the next chapter of my life, I want to extend my deepest thanks to everyone who has been a part of this incredible journey. These experiences and relationships I have forged during my time here will always hold a special place in my heart. Never thought I'd get to this point. But I'm profoundly grateful and for the opportunity. That have been a part of this district. I'm profoundly grateful for the opportunity to have served as a part of this district and have contributed to this mission of educating, empowering students directly and indirectly. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt appreciation and support and camaraderie and dedication I have experienced throughout my career. Working alongside such passionate and committed individuals has been one of the greatest joys of my personal life.
And professional.
I'm sorry. Working alongside such passionate and committed individuals has been one of the greatest joys of my personal life. I wish you all continued success and fulfillment in your important work. Thank you once again for allowing me to be a part of this.
Dr. McLemore, thank you. I will still need you to do the school visits to make sure people are okay. I will call on you. Thank you very much. I'm going to miss you, you know that. Thank you for your service. When I tell people, that you've been here for so long, that's a true testament of who you are as an individual and as a leader. And it does not matter what I call upon you, it doesn't matter. Saturday, Sunday, anything that I ask, there's never been a no. It's been absolutely, whatever you need. So know that you will be missed. Like I shared with Dr. Van, I always welcome doctors in the house, all right? This is your home. So thank you. I promise this will be my perhaps last statement of the night for my amazing staff. But tonight happens to be Mr. Ed Forget, my partner. Tonight is his last night. Ed. We spend every waking moment, morning, afternoon, evening, 7 days a week. When I don't speak to him on a Saturday, he asks me by 1 o'clock, what's wrong? We talk daily. I don't know what vacation is for him or what sick time is for him. It doesn't exist. I am going to miss him. I don't know what this idea that he has in his head, what he's doing right now. We don't support it. I am going to miss him, and I've already shared with him, it does not matter where he is. He's still just a phone call away, and he will also help to continue with some of the folks in the district.
Thank you. And he does not like any of this, so I will make sure.
Not at all. No, I appreciate it. I will never leave Newburgh. I will always be Newburgh. If you think about it, I'm going to work for a BOCES, so I get to work with Newburgh. So my commitment will be probably a little bit stronger because I don't have to be involved in the day-to-day. I can come in and work on the work. And that's what it's really all about. It's about doing what's right for kids and working on the work and doing it collaboratively. And I'm really excited about doing that. And my new boss is willing to let me do it. Jackie's already talked to him, and they have a special agreement. So I don't know how it worked, but she worked it. And Mike, we absolutely love you. Your dedication and commitment and part of our team has been amazing. The fact that Andrea, you, me, Sarah, we're kind of all going at the same time is bittersweet. It's sad in some aspects, but it kind of gives life to a new team that comes in to do what's right for the kids that are in this district and to move it in a new direction to make a real change in their lives. And we'll be there to help them. You know, we got 4 support people behind them that, again, are not going to be tied up in the minutia. So thank you, Newburgh. Thank you for everything you've done for me. You have been amazing. It's not about me. It's about our community and our kids. And I will not leave you. I will be back.
Miss Moriarty, sorry. I know. I'm watching you. I have my eyes on you. So I do believe that this is also your last meeting. We are going to miss you. You have a special place, the loudest laughter. And you've done a lot of great work here. I don't know what Chris is going to do without you, but he won't get any ideas. Know that the work that you've done here means a lot. You will be sorely missed. The boy mom who you met 2 years ago, we talked about that. I remember when I first met you guys, we talked about, just being moms and being parents to boys and, just our immediate connection. Know that I'm going to miss you. I've tried to talk you out of this several times, and I will speak to Jim some more. But you've done great work here. Again, you guys know that I don't take this lightly. Certain people can come back anytime. So know that the door is open. You've done amazing work here, and you are going to be missed. So thank you for your service.
I just want to say it's probably going to get a little quieter on the floor. I admit to my loudness, but I do really, from the bottom of my heart, want to say that it's been an absolute pleasure to serve here, and I hope that I know that the good work will continue. It's a wonderful community. It's a special place for kids and families, and I have loved my time.
So I'll turn it over to the clerk of the board.
Thank you, Madam President. I have 4.1 through 4.7 on consent.
Does anyone want to separate any out? No? Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Did we get a second? Okay. Roll call? Oh, discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Doré? Yes. Mr. Howard? Yes. Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
That concludes my items, Madam President.
Thank you. Now we have items 5.1 through 5.4. Would anyone like to separate any out? Ms. Boucher?
I'd like to separate out 5.1 and 5.5.
Okay.
There's no vote on 5.5. That's just a discussion, ma'am.
Just 5.1.
Can I have a motion on 5.2 through 5.4?
Madam President, I would like to separate out 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4.
Okay, okay. Okay, can I have a motion on resolution 5.1?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to postpone this until the first meeting in October, and the reason for that being is that I think there needs to be more logistics put into this. And I think it's more of a discussion with administration to make sure that something can work.
Okay.
So I'd like to postpone.
Can I have a second? Discussion? Not? Okay, roll call?
Mr. Duray,
Oh, I'm sorry, Mackenzie.
I just want to confirm that on that meeting, we'll be given like a proposal of what does work, not just a discussion about the move.
I'm going to work with Dr. Campbell to come up with a proposal for the board. We're going to look at all the schools, find where the schools are best if we're going to move this around the three communities.
Thank you.
Victoria?
I just want to again point out, I think it's important to hear all of the community. So I think that we need as a board to make sure that it can work. So I don't want anyone to think anything crazy. I just want to say we need to make sure it can work before we vote on it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, Madam President. So the expectation will be that at the second meeting or the first meeting in October? First meeting in October, that Mr. Velez, along with the help of the superintendent, will come back with information in regards to the other locations to possibly look into having meetings in the town of Newburgh, town of Windsor, so that we can meet. We'll determine a time length or when that will happen, but we're looking for what the logistics would be. Is that correct?
That's correct. I think that, yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Politi?
Yeah, I just want to say, I oppose the movement, and I will vote in accordance to that, and it's no, I appreciate the postponing to get more logistics, but I just want to say for the record, I'm opposed to this.
Mr. Duray?
No, I didn't have my hand up. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, roll call?
Mr. Duray,
Yes to postpone.
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
No.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher,
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher,
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli.
No.
The item to postpone passes.
Okay. Resolution 5.2, can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Howard, Ms. Politi,
No, I'm sorry.
No.
Mr. Stewart. No. Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher,
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher,
No.
Mr. Bergarelli,
No.
Mr. Duray.
No.
That item fails.
Resolution 5.3, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, discussion? Victoria?
I would just like to make a comment on 5.2, 5.3, 5.4 as a whole. We have to make the best decision for 12,000 students. We need to take away all the noise and focus on what's best for these children. And we are 2 weeks out from the start of school. So it might not be popular, but we have to make the best choice for the students, and because that's what I came here for, and I want to make that known. This decision is based on children and children only. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call.
Ms. Politi,
No.
Mr. Stewart. No. Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher,
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher,
No.
Mr. Bergarelli,
No.
Mr. Duray,
No.
Mr. Howard.
No.
That item fails.
Resolution 5.4, can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Stewart,
No.
Ms. Christine Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello,
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher,
No.
Ms. Victoria Boucher,
No.
Mr. Bergarelli,
No.
Mr. Duray,
No.
Mr. Howard,
No.
Ms. Politi.
Okay, item 5.5 is just board goals discussion. We're looking for, this is not coming for a vote. We're just looking for suggestions, 3 or 4 suggestions from every board member. And, you know, we can discuss it here, or you can send an email to us, and Matthew would go through them, figure out what are the most popular, and come up with our goals. Mr. Howard?
Thank you, Madam President. So I was under the impression through past years, something like this should have been shared with the members of the board prior to the meeting so that we can come here and we can have a spirited discussion and work on this maybe for the last week or two, or discuss at this last meeting that we would have these goals discussed. And to find out about this being on the agenda 2 days ago, I don't think gives us adequate amount of time to have a spirited and straight up and clear, concise discussion. So I'm hoping this is a placeholder, and because I don't think it would be fair to the board members to be ready to discuss that now. Perhaps we can do this at the next meeting?
Oh, that was the intent. We weren't going to, I mean, it was just suggestions, but you could do it through email, send suggestions for what your priorities are as far as goals, 3 or 4 from everyone. Victoria?
Do we have a time frame on that? Like, do you want it by a certain date?
No, we just want to get it in the works.
Okay.
Okay?
Point of order, ma'am. So in terms of time frame, I would suggest like a week to get everybody email in a week, and then we can synthesize everybody's, a lot of times they're all very similar. And then you can have a more meaningful discussion at the next meeting. So then the superintendent, after the board adopts their goals, then the superintendent can then adopt hers.
Mr. Howard?
So I think something that we could discuss now would be, what are we looking for? 3 board goals, 4 board goals, or is there a number that you're looking for? Because I know one time in the past, it was so verbose and numerous, and No, seriously, we need to understand what our board goals will be, what they are, what they should be, understanding that the superintendent uses our board goals to base what her board goals are going to be. So I think having a number in mind, what we're looking for, would be a great start.
I would just say no more than 4. Mackenzie?
To just confirm, when we're emailing, we should email all of us, right? Not just you?
Right.
Okay.
And, okay, so now I'd like to turn it over to the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Thank you, Madam President. On the Human Resources agenda, I have items 6.1 through 6.20 for your consideration on tonight.
Thank you. Would anyone like to separate any out?
Can we separate out 6.8?
Same. Okay. Okay, I'm looking for a motion on 6.1 through 6.20 minus 6.8.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
And a second.
Third.
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Resolution 6.8, can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Discussion? Mackenzie?
Can someone just explain, that, like, is, Mr. Gerasi under a specific bargaining unit? Has he been, like, has this raise been negotiated already? And then, with the waiver, can someone just explain what it is? And then, like, are we on the hook for any type of cost? And if we say yes to this, does the state still have the ability to deny if he was not in compliance with, what happened?
So I'll address the alignment to a bargaining unit. He is a non-represented employee. He's governed by the policy for non-represented employees. Those employees, within that policy, it states that the superintendent would negotiate the increase on an annual basis with the Board of Education. That was done, I believe, in June. The salary increase was negotiated for all non-represented employees, and there are several members of our school district that are a part of that, and that applied to anyone that fell under that policy. That's how the raise was determined. Yeah, just for further clarification, as Dr. Campbell's reminding me, it's similar to the period of time where you're hired. If a teacher is hired on May 1st, if a clerical is hired on May 1st, a cafeteria worker, anyone that's governed by a bargaining unit contract, July 1st resets, and whatever the contract says, that's what the increase is. So it's similar for non-represented employees. It doesn't have a clause in there based on the time that they're hired. It's equitable treatment of all employees that fall under that particular policy, if that answers your question.
Point of information? I'm confused. I thought 6.8 was in reference to the pension.
I was asked a question by trustee to explain the waiver request as well as the increase in salary.
Oh, okay. I thought,
I
I'm
was
looking at
responding to half of
6.8.
that
I thought
question.
that's what we were discussing. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was the question. The other question refers to the waiver request. The waiver request has to do with the pension system, not with anything else other than the pension system. And I'll defer to Dr. Mack or to Mr. Shaw for further clarification.
I can clarify that. So the legislature added paragraph 9 to section 211 of the Retirement and Social Security Law this year, which allows for earning beyond the $35,000 limit for an additional year. And we were concerned about whether this was applicable to TRS or also to ERS. And there is no restriction as to one pension system or the other. So it appears that there isn't a requirement this year to secure a waiver. But whatever the requirements might be, that's the responsibility of the employee, not the district.
So I want to clarify for the public, this is not a waiver so that Mr. Gerasi does not have to take a civil service exam. This is a waiver, and I would like to ask the question, how many teachers, not the names, how many teachers in this district have this waiver?
I don't necessarily know that we have the number right now, but it's a standard practice, and if it's something that we don't do for one employee, that means that employee is not being treated fairly or equitably. We do this for anyone who meets that criteria. That's something that we do, and we encourage that, because sometimes we want to utilize folks who have different experiences, in different arenas of professional experience, and then they become educators because they've retired from either another location or another position. So that's something that we do routinely.
Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Madam President. So for clarification, this is actually authorizing the application. The decision lies with the state in Albany, correct, whether or not this is granted or not?
Yes.
Thank you.
So my question is, was there a time requirement for applying for this? Mr. Shaw?
Not for this year.
Not for this year. Mr. McLemore?
I was just going to echo the same words as Mr. Shaw, that the purpose of this resolution is to show that the district has approved Mr. Gerasi for employment, number one. Number two, the resolution has to be filed with the application so that it can go to civil service, and then civil service determines whether they are going to approve or not approve the application for the waiver.
Would they disapprove of this waiver if there is a time sensitive? I mean, I'm sorry, Mr. Shaw, I know you said that, but I read that there's time sensitivity for 211. Either you have to file it before he's hired or within 30 days after appointment, and that did not happen here.
That's when the provisions apply. They're waived for this school year as they were for last.
Mr. Forget?
Thank you. Mr. Shaw, just to be really clear on this, this is a request from an employee of the employer. It's the onus is on the employee. Is that correct? It's not the onus on the employer.
That's correct. But the way that the law is written for this year, it should not be a problem to have this employment and to have the earnings exceed $35,000. But again, this is the civil service system. It's beyond the pedagogical system. So the state will chime in on it, but there aren't critical deadlines that we were discussing and concerned about.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
No.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. DeRay?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
No.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my items.
Okay, so, okay, so I'll turn it over to Ms. Margarita, the Assistant Superintendent of Finance.
Good evening, Madam President. The Finance Department tonight has items 7.1 to 7.13 for your consideration. Thank you.
7.1 through 7.13, would anyone like to separate any out? No? Okay, can I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Yes. Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Thank you. This ends our items. Thank you.
And I turn it over to Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Ms. Moriarty.
Thank you, Madam President. Elementary Curriculum and Instruction presents items 8.1 through 8.9 as consent agenda for your consideration.
Would anyone like to separate any out? Mackenzie?
Can we separate at, sorry, that was not English, 8.3 and 8.7?
Okay. Can I have a motion for 8.1 through 8.9 minus 8.3?
So moved.
And
Second.
minus 8.7 too.
Oh, I'm sorry. And minus 8.7.
So moved.
Okay, discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 8.3, can I have a motion?
So moved.
That was, discussion? Mackenzie?
Can I make a motion to amend the amount to be $788,392.02?
Can I have a second? Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Roll call on the amendment. Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
The motion is amended. Oh, roll call as amended.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Resolution 8.7,
So moved.
can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mackenzie?
So I see that this was implemented in the last year. Do we have metrics of like, was it successful? Did it help students? Are we confident in its ability to be used again?
Yes, I don't have the usage report at hand tonight, but it is used in grades K through 8, more so 3 through 8. It is used for videos, enhancing lessons. It has quizzes. It makes some excitement and animation to some lessons, so it is widely used across the district. And this is a 5-year contract.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
And that concludes my items. Thank you.
Okay, so I turn it over to Dr. Mack for the secondary.
Sure. Good evening, Madam President. I have items 9.1 through 9.4 for your consideration.
Would anyone like to separate any out? Thomasina?
9.4, please.
Okay. Okay, resolution 9.1 through 9.3. Can I have a motion
So moved.
and a second? Okay, discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Politi,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart. Yes. Ms. Christine Bello.
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello.
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher.
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher.
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli.
Yes.
Mr. Duray.
Yes.
Okay, resolution 9.4. Can I have a motion
Second.
and discussion? Oh, okay. Ms. Politi?
So I'd like to share some talking points that I brought up with my colleagues here on the board earlier today. I support this wholeheartedly. I think this is a long time coming to Newburgh. As a teacher for 22 years, I can say with confidence this is a standard practice. My district's professional development includes the entire district. We hear from our district leaders and we have a keynote speaker. I know I personally leave feeling invigorated and inspired to start my school year after gathering with my colleagues and hearing a great speaker. I've been wanting to ask this for years. As we all know, this is a booster. Our faculty and staff are professionals and they need to be honored and treated as such with quality PD. As for the cost of this is cheap. We have had to use alternate locations as well, like Boulder Stadium in the past, and no one complains. Sometimes we carpool to lessen traffic. This type of investment pays tenfold in dividends to our scholars. You wouldn't want to go to a doctor or any type of physician who's not keeping up on current medical research, as it's always changing. This is the same in education. We want our teachers to be well-informed and current practitioners to deliver the best education possible for our kids. And I wrote this letter to provide insight. It's natural to look at something not familiar to you and to have people in your ear who are also not in the know claiming outrage, and you feel like you need to condemn. But it's important that everyone asks questions, and we'll all keep answering them. And I encourage productive discussion amongst the board, but please also ask yourself, when you get this call or complaint or this outrage, is this person knowledgeable? Is this person a source of information that's valid? And we need to remember the chain of command and look to the professionals for the right information, not Facebook.
Thomasina?
Okay. I see that the resolution has it listed as 17,500, but I mean, are we going to be reimbursing teachers? Or are we busing teachers to this location? And how much is it costing us to rent this location? So I feel like, I'm asking because I feel like maybe this number here doesn't really represent the total cost of this, and I'm trying to find out what that is.
So these are the moments that when these resolutions, when they're privy, that you ask so that we can have these things available. Now, some costs, like I explained when I was asked this question before, this is probably most likely a reduction in what we've spent. In previous years, the district has spent a substantial amount of monies for administrators only. This is the first time it gives us the opportunity to meet with all staff. I can tell you that many of who are involved across all union leadership, they're excited about this opportunity. In terms of the cost for buses and mileage, we're in the process of getting that information. We've asked, we're asking who would like to be bused so we can see what the actual cost is. So that's not something that I would be prepared to respond to tonight. But we will have that cost perhaps at the end of the convocation, perhaps that, in September at some point we can tell you actually what we've spent, because some people will be driving, such as myself, right? Some people will drive to the event. We are at this point in negotiations with the unions, so that's not something I'm prepared to discuss on the floor. Additionally, the cost of the site, that is also something we can provide to you had I known ahead of time than tonight on the floor.
it's always important to ask me ahead, and then I can provide that to you. I can get that to you at some point at the end of the week or so to make sure that you have all the information. But in terms of buses, transportation, I will not have that for you until we find out, who's carpooling, as Trustee Politi indicated, who's using the bus and things of that sort. But I am so honored to have this opportunity to bring us all together. I don't know, when I came here and noticed that the district was not doing that, I was blown away. But I understood we do not have a facility that's big enough, which leads us to go outside of our district. So we will have to pay. We're large, and so because we're large, we have to be flexible, creative, and understand that in order to fit us, we have to move to different places. I will tell you that the position of the board is to keep things in New York, to have professional retreats. We're professionals, and so we will do our professional development to the best of our ability, make sure that we are, if not local, we're in the state of New York at every time possible. So I'll have those figures for you perhaps in a couple of weeks once the dust is settled and we know exactly who will be attending. Thank you.
Mackenzie?
Is the long-term goal, so he's coming to be a keynote speaker, are we looking to implement his lessons within the district through PD for the remainder of the year, just so that it's not just a one-time speaking engagement and then it doesn't go any further?
So much of what Dr. Freeman Mack talked about was the kickoff or the return back to the equity, access, and inclusive work that we need to return back to. This district is such a trailblazer in so many fashions. For example, we have an assistant superintendent, chief equity officer, and this work that Dr. Emden will kick off, and he's working with us in terms of what happens throughout the course of the work, not only when he's here, but before he's here, and how we continue to work towards some of the goals that he will achieve with the convocation. So he's working closely with Dr. Freeman Mack, and that's much of the work that she talked about when she was introducing why it was important, because we need to ensure that we continue this work of inclusivity. That's a good question.
Mr. Howard?
Thank you, Madam President. So I had the privilege a couple years ago at the New York State School Boards Association that I attended in Buffalo, where Chris Emden gave the keynote speak, and it was incredible, incredible. I'm talking about he had the whole state of New York on the edge of their seats. And some of the things that I'm reading on social media in regards to, he can't teach people what he doesn't know, but in reality, what he's talking about from a culturally responsive pedagogy and culturally responsive learning, he's talking about how to best get to these children, how to best serve the student population. And I got to tell you, no, he's not going to teach you. We got great teachers in this district. We got teachers doing incredible work, but his whole talk is around how to deal with the population that we deal with in our district. And it's so apropos and so on point. The gentleman, I guarantee, I challenge anybody that goes there with an open mind that you will come away impressed with his delivery and his keynote. The man is so incredible. If you get the opportunity, you can go to YouTube or you can go to on social media and look at some of his presentations, his TED Talks. The gentleman is incredible. And I will leave you with this. I know some board members down in Maryland that called me when I put out that we were possibly having Chris Emden speak, and the price that they told me they had to pay, I don't know how we negotiated, but they paid a lot more for him, and that's a fact.
Thomasina?
I'm not discounting his work. I did hear wonderful things. I just feel like with, we need TAs, we need so many other things. This just seems so cost heavy. It just seems, I understand you're saying the benefit from it. I understand what you're saying, but it just feels like it's just so much money to spend at a point where we're hurting for certain.
Victoria?
Okay,
Order.
give me a second. Point of order. Dr. Manning Campbell, can you give some perspective of what this district has spent with just administration for this PD last year?
So I can tell you that our retreats normally in August would hover around $35,000 or $40,000 just for the administrators, right? And it's very mind-boggling to me that we are picking this PD apart. And I want us to really do our research and our due diligence before we harp on a number. We are very large, that is very low, and if we want to be with the best, then we're going to have to pay for the best, right? I want to address the comment about teaching assistants because I want to make sure that you are completely educated on some of the TA outrage. And I thought that I explained myself before, but let me explain it for the public. The district chose to use the learning loss money to pay for teaching assistants. Because we knew that the monies were going away, we met with the building principals and we asked them how they would support the students in their classrooms. The learning loss money, when teaching assistant positions were created for the first grade, there was an understanding with the district that this would have to go away. Other districts paid for different things. I was not here. The decisions were made, and I understand human is, in urban, suburban communities, it's better for humans to work alongside children to help with learning loss. However, we knew that the money was going away. When the positions were added, the community was told, this money is going to be utilized in this way, the positions would be going away. We can all argue that we want extra hands in our classrooms. It's not fiscally responsible. It doesn't exist. If you tell me that we have improved, I would argue that perhaps, yes, it's been very helpful and it could be very helpful, but that's not something that we've seen tenfold. But having appropriate professional development and consistency in teacher development and administrative development is where we see the return on our investment, and we will continue to do so. But we can have further conversation in terms of teaching assistants, but that's not a practice that anyone uses. Kindergarten, yes, but this conversation was not taken lightly or in isolation. We worked with building leaders to make sure that we had the best solution for our scholars in front of us. We didn't just wipe the slate clean. Thank you.
Okay. Roll call?
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
No.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
No.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Okay, item 10, I'll turn over to the Assistant Superintendent of Exceptional Learners.
Thank you, Madam President. Exceptional Learners has items 10.1 through 10.6 on the consent agenda.
Would anyone like to separate any out? Oh, Victoria?
10.6, please.
Okay, item 10.1 through 10.5, can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a discussion? Roll call? Oh,
Hi. So my background in life is healthcare. I just want to make a statement because we've been talking about money. These numbers are very low. So example 10.4, we're talking $61 for a LPN, $71 for a registered nurse. Normally a registered nurse would go around $180 an hour. So I just want everyone to be aware of that cost because that's what I do every day. So to have this number is great. That's it. Thank you.
Can I clarify what these nurses are used for? I think it would be helpful for the community to know that. So we provide our own nurses in our buildings, and we're very richly staffed with wonderful nursing throughout our district, as well as clerks and aides who also support our health offices. We have students with profound difficulties and disabilities who need to get from home to school, and our nurses can't drive from school to Goshen or, White Plains. So these different agencies provide us the nursing staff to help support those students who might have feeding tubes, might be on oxygen in the buses. That's what it's primarily used for, and it's a very small number of students. And we work with the union, the NTA, to make sure that we do this correctly. It is not meant to in any way displace any of our unit work.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Stewart? Yes. Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Resolution 10.6, can I have a motion
So moved.
and discussion? Mackenzie?
I just want to comment back to the $650 note that I think Ms. Wallace made. That is for one person for 3 days for a conference in October. I went online and looked it up. So we have 33 people attending the 3-day session in August. So if you multiply 650 by 33, you have $21,450. So our $19,000 is below that amount. So to me, it would make sense that we're below the amount, and it looks as if something that our scholars could use. So just for the whole board and for the public to know, we're below what the amount would be.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call.
Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Politi?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Thank you. That happily concludes my items before midnight tonight.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Thomasina Bello?
Yes.
Ms. Mackenzie Boucher?
Yes.
Ms. Victoria Boucher?
Yes.
Mr. Bergarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Duray?
Yes.
Mr. Howard? Ms. Politi? Mr. Stewart? Ms. Christine Bello?
Yes.